what I look at when I post those protest videos, the likes and the loves to the angry emojis, and it literally is 1,000 to 1. So
awesome.
And that's the part for me, and that's what it's so funny. Someone was like, "Oh my gosh, did you see what they said?" I said, "Yeah, but did you see all the love? Look at all the love."
Yeah, I'm the voice of Audacity.
I am the voice of Audacity.
I am the voice of Audacity.
Local voices, real impact, right now. Audacity, creative action together.
Hi, welcome to Audacity's podcast, Voices of Audacity. I'm Lynn Donovan. We're doing this just audio today. And my guest is Laura Swanson, who I met online when a post from Tillamook showed up on my Facebook page. And I was reading a little bit about this group on the West Coast and the Oregon coast and thinking, wow, they're doing what we're doing and it would be fun to talk. And so here we are, and welcome.
Yes, so I'm Laura Swanson, and I'm the editor for a local online publication here in Tillamook County, the Tillamook County Pioneer. And I have been posting the videos of the North County Resistance, who's been protesting on a weekly basis every Saturday for well over a year. And Lynn reached out, and so we just started chatting about the two groups and found some great commonality.
I was really impressed that the numbers that I saw was a small community. Then there were 50 people
Right.
every Saturday, around 50 people.
Yeah.
And I think percentage-wise, that's a little ahead of what we're doing. We have a community of about 7,000 in Rockland. We're the biggest resistance group in the county. And even in the worst weather in Maine can produce some pretty god-awful weather. Sometimes there are over 300. On a street corner on a small park in Rockland, and for this last No King's Day, our numbers were up to just under 2,300.
It's amazing.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
To have that many people. And with no intentions of letting up until there's not a need.
Right. Well, this group actually has roots in a variety of different protests, and my interaction with them has really been covering their actions and what they've been doing as a reporter and an editor in the local media. And so besides the fact that it's a small community, I know them all personally and really wanted to support what they had been doing. So they actually have been protesting for several years, and several of them will say, we've been protesting since the 60s. So it very much is that the comments that people say that it's, a bunch of old hippies, and it's like, yeah, and they're very proud of that. They're also,
and we're
right, but they're also very frustrated that they're having to be out there protesting again.
There is that for sure. What I love seeing in ours, and perhaps you're seeing it there also, though, is that there is a great age spread.
There is a great age spread, and that's what's so beautiful about it is the children and the 20-somethings, the 30. I mean, pretty much every age demographic is represented. And the North County Resistance has inspired so many other groups that now there are regular weekly protests happening in downtown Tillamook, also on Highway 101, and now there are also protests happening in Pacific City, which is the southern end of Tillamook County. So it's a growing resistance. And I tell you, for all the people talking about these being angry, I mean, there's nothing angry about it. It's actually very joyful, and there's so much camaraderie amongst the folks that are there, and purpose. It's very uplifting, and I really feel it's something very positive that people are doing.
And I see that here. It just so reflects the state of the country.
Yeah.
And the need to do something. And the louder, the better.
You shared that you have a really strong art community, which we also have here. We have the Oregon coast attracts a lot of amazing artists. So some of the signs are just pieces of artwork that people are putting together. It's really, really inspiring. I get a lot of folks that reach out to me as the local paper editor, and they're not necessarily comfortable going to a protest and that sort of thing, but it's like, what can we do? So we develop some lists of things for folks that maybe that is helpful for them and ways for them to feel included.
What kind of things?
Well, reaching out to senators a lot. I mean, as far as the outreach that they can do that way, the letter writing that they can do. I have a great, I call them my social media army, and I ask them to look over comments because when I do post the videos, there are very offensive comments that must be deleted, and so I get help from my pioneer readers that are very good about letting me know about those. So there's lots of different ways that people can participate. I've encouraged folks to write about it, and I've got several regular contributors that write different pieces and columns, and creative writing and art. So that's the other thing, because people are at a stage of exhaustion with it, but that's what they want to do, is for us not to be involved. So continuing to have that connection, I think, is super important.
Yeah, I do too. Do you have a website?
Well, the Tillamook County Pioneer.net. So is the main website for the Pioneer.
Right, I knew that.
Right, and then the North County Resistance really doesn't even really. I mean, it's not that they didn't want the attention, because they know that that's important, but they felt like it's the community's resistance. So,
yeah. Well, what's happened with this group here? We do meet monthly. And we do have a website.
Which, that from your website, I don't know if it's your website or it was your Facebook page, that our group has been inspired to do some kind of big on the water protests, because we saw those images of you guys in kayaks. Well, because literally where we're standing on the corner, you just go across the street and you're in the Nehalem River. So we are right on the Nehalem River. Well, and then within other communities, because the whole idea is taking this to all the communities, there's also some great kayak places in other communities. So we're kind of trying to plan a multiple part flotilla protest. And I think,
I love it.
But so we'll be taking taking it to the water. Well, we have a dragon boat team that practices on the Nehalem. So and several of them are part of the protest group. So anyway, I'm putting all the pieces together, and I'm looking forward to a floating protest soon.
I love it. I have this great visual in my mind, of it starting wherever you start upstream, and working down the river, gathering people.
Exactly. Well, and especially with Nehalem, because we could start at Nehalem and then go down to Wheeler, which is the next, kind of, and it would be tremendous. And there's the Nehalem Bridge that goes across 101, so we'd be able to get incredible visuals of the flotilla. So we'll keep you posted on that one. But and it also is a way to get other people that maybe don't feel comfortable on a street corner, but heck yeah, they'll get on their paddleboard or in their kayak or whatever, and do something with the river. So
that's really cool. So to do it,
Yes.
like down the river, that's a really cool idea. Love it.
Well, and that's
Love
the
it.
the group, like you said, as far as the ideas and looking at what other folks are doing and that sort of thing. So, because again, when I shared with the group that, yeah, this gal from, because they're always asking about, where are the people from, and you're not going to believe this one. Maine, the complete opposite coast. So,
Well, which I love, and you and I had talked briefly, and I followed it up and couldn't find anything about the Hands Across America.
right, right.
And my pet wishing that I had the energy to, step up to that as a challenge.
I know I felt the same way because they kept reaching out to me as far as helping to organize, and I'm like, I got so many things that I wish I love the idea. I wish I could. So we learn as we get older that there's only so much time in the day. So
Well, yeah, I mean, an older, older. This is the first birthday. My birthday was in April. That I looked in the mirror and said, "You know what? You are old. You are not old.
no, you're not.
and, and it's, I think aging, I think this over 80 trip, which I am halfway through, better than halfway through, is about acceptance and acceptance of, what is it that I have to offer? How do I do that? And what can I actually commit to and follow through on? Because I can't stand it if I say I'm going to do something and then I don't get it done. Yeah.
That's one of the great blessings that I've looked at in my community, because I'm super fortunate to have multiple 80 plus and even 90 plus mentors and elders that are still actively involved. And like you said, you just become more thoughtful and mindful about what you can do, but there's still ways to be able to participate, and it's such it's such the richness of the tapestry of our communities to have such a wealth of the multi-generational. That's one of my things. Well, that's the publication that I have, is the Tillamook County Pioneer. So I'm really absolutely, that one of my most important missions is preserving the stories of our elders.
Maine is I think is statistically, has the oldest population, or the greatest population of older people of any state in the country. And so you're constantly aware of that. And then I look at at the protest marches, and I love the age spread.
Yeah.
Because as we said, we have that. But the predominance
Oh, yes.
of the older generations that are out there, we are out there. And one of the things that we're really clear about is that we're inclusive.
Right.
Democracy, equity, freedom, and I want to be fully respectful of that.
And that's,
But I love that there is resonance, that we're sort of like marching in step on this side of the country and that
across
side of
the country. I know. And
Yeah.
that's what,
Yeah.
And it's not in a vacuum or in a bubble that this is happening in so many communities of all sizes and types across. And what you were saying as far as the being as inclusive as possible, and nonpartisan, that's something our groups here have really emphasized. I laugh because of being the media. There's a lot of assumption, of course, that I'm the liberal. They love to label things, and I'm an old school journalist. So I believe in presenting all sides and in freedom of speech. I mean, that's actually, it's one of the main reasons that why I became so involved was when they started going after freedom of speech and the free press. I had no other choice. Defunding of PBS and NPR and all of that was, I was already very outspoken towards this administration, and that was just the final for me, that because how important that is. I mean, we are constantly in the media battling the torrent of lies and misinformation that they put out there, and I tell you, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. It is exhausting. And I think, how can this be exhausting? I read like 3 or 4, alternative journalists every day, and I always have some comment. It used to be I had really long comments. And now basically it's like, yep, more rot. You have to remember, you gotta clean the dirt up if you can't see it. And then it's about an exhortation to just get out there, don't give up, be
Right.
loud, join together, reach out to each other, do something kind,
Yeah.
And from that place of doing something kind, write to Congress people.
Absolutely. That's exactly the same messaging that we've been putting forth. Lead with love and kindness, because that's truly what's going to get us all through this. And it's really about what we do for our communities. And that, again, I always go back to the comments that people make, and they're like, what's that helping? They should be like volunteering at the food banks. Well, let me tell you, this group collects food for the food bank every single Saturday, and have collected hundreds of pounds of food. So it's like, what? These are the people doing the work here.
Yeah, exactly. Food, hygiene products.
Yes. Right, absolutely.
lots-
Different, each time is something a little bit different, maybe as far as what the needs are. Part of one of our food banks, there's a pet food bank, so they've done pet food drives where they've, as far as for pets. So yeah, always are doing that too. And again, I could go down the line of the 50 people, and every single person I could say, oh, you're on the board of this, this, and this, and volunteer, and you're on the board of this, this, and this, and volunteer. I mean, so they are the people in our community that are giving back.
I wanted to go back to the weekly protests and stuff. We're on a small park on a corner of Route 1 as you come into downtown Rockland. There's a lot of horn honking, and thumbs up, people waving and cheering when they drive by. There's also a fair population of very large pickup trucks with various flags and various fingers raised and such. And generally the response to them is just to, have a good day.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And let it go. I don't think there's been any kind of blatantly aggressive interaction, except for a couple of situations that happened this year. One was a paid opposition protester.
Oh.
Big, lanky guy in a cowboy hat and cowboy boots who moved through our crowd and ended up, I don't know whether he got shoved or somebody shoved him, whatever. Anyway, he was recognized as a paid protester, known to show up at various events. I think there may be something legal going on there now about that, or it may just have faded away. The other thing that happened was one of the pickup trucks with snowplow on it came through, and what he did was we're careful about sidewalks,
Right,
keeping
staying,
sidewalks clear. We have a police presence every week. There's not been a problem. This guy came down, knocked down one person, drenched a bunch of them, plowing up the snow and the slush on the side of the road. That's the worst thing that's ever happened. And that is, there are charges involved with that.
Yeah,
But I was curious to know if you guys have run into any kind of, sometimes there's nobody on the opposite corner, but usually there are a few people there with their
So there's
signs.
a difference between Manzanita, North County, Manzanita-Halem, that area, and Central County, Tillamook. And the county as a whole is very purple. So, and the majority of the people, yeah, lots of honking, lots of peace signs, lots of thumbs up, lots of very positive reinforcement. And the other responses, what they like to do here, because a lot of those big, huge pickup trucks that the people are driving that must be compensating for a lack of something else, they do something that's called rolling coal. So they'll rev up their diesel engines and then blow out all of the black smoke over the protesters, and that is illegal. And it is considered endangerment, and I believe that they have filed charges for a couple of folks in Tillamook, because that has happened more often at the Tillamook protests than in Nehalem. And I've got a great story about in Nehalem with one of those guys in his big truck. So he attempted to roll coal, and when he dropped his clutch, he also dropped his transmission, and it came off of his truck right in the middle of 101. It was karma at its most beautiful. And so we still chuckle about that. Remember the time with the guy? Like, and I have photos of it. I have photos of the truck with the piece of it laying there. So, that's how I look at it. There's the incidences, and that was one of the reasons why the North County group got more involved with Indivisible, was actually at my prompting, because I was kind of concerned about their safety, because I was getting messages from folks about we're taking down license plate numbers, and we're reporting you to Homeland Security, and we're reporting you to ICE, and all of those sorts of things. So there's been just some concern, and I'm always. What was that?
Do you have an ICE presence? Do you have an ICE presence?
There has been in Tillamook County, because we have a sizable Hispanic population. They work at our dairy farms and at a lot of our restaurants, and the tourist economy. They take care of a lot of our hotels and all those sorts of things. So there have been several takings in the area, but not recently. It's gotten very quiet.
Yeah. And along the coast, yes, there has been a presence. Yes, there have been incidents. Portland is wary, just inland.
Yes.
Lewiston, Auburn, much more we're pretty milky white here on the coast. Not completely, but compared to, say, Lewiston, Auburn area, very, very, very different. And
we've got a really active Hispanic organization here and a Migrant Watch, and very active. That's kind of another group that's very active in informing the community and that type of thing. I've often got asked by community members, why aren't you reporting about these things, and it's on their advice. They don't want it to be reported. There's already so much fear within the community that doesn't help managing it. So, like I said, I've been quite the rebel in that when ICE is in the community, I posted it on the Pioneers page and on my social media and that sort of thing. So we're informing the community, and oh my gosh, they were like, we're screenshotting this and sending it to Homeland Security and reporting you for. I'm like, okay, so
that's scary.
It's a really small percentage, and that's what I always tell folks too. When but they're so loud, so it seems like that there's a lot of them, and there's not. And what I look at when I post those protest videos, the likes and the loves to the laughing emojis and the angry emojis. And it literally is 1,000 to 1. So
awesome.
And that's the part for me. And that's what it's so funny. Someone was like, "Oh my gosh, did you see what they said?" I said, "Yeah, but did you see all the love? Look at all the love."
So one quick question, and then we should wrap this up. I think going forward, what do you see happening with the group, with the resistance movement there?
Like I said, I think they're going to be there every Saturday for as long as they need to be there every Saturday. And, you know, as long as the destruction of our democracy continues, they're going to be doing everything they can to hang on to the threads and the shreds to be able to put this back together again. And again, it's outreach and education, it's information, letting the community know the things that they need to be aware of. Do you know that this is happening? Because that's the really kind of stunning part, is there really are a lot of people that really don't.
They just don't know.
No, and
no, they don't.
yeah. So as long as necessary, and then I think just knowing the people involved, it will continue to morph into some kind of ongoing community organization.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, we're sort of in the same throes there, for sure. This has been great. I love the resonance.
And we knew that there were so many things that were in common, and then we've even found even more. So I will keep you posted about our flotilla, and floating protests.
Laura, thank you.
Thank you
for persevering to make the time.
Thank you, Lynn. It's just delightful to connect across from coast to coast.
This is great.
If you're interested in learning more about Audacity, you can find us at www.AudacityCAT.com. We can also be found at Blue Sky, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.
The Voices of Audacity podcast joins with other AudacityCAT efforts to share information, promote political action, and enable discussion among local citizens. Although we hold different views on specific issues, we agree on 7 core values. We oppose authoritarianism, bigotry, and corruption. We support inclusive democracy, equity, and freedom. And we are committed to nonviolence in all actions. Any individual opinions expressed in these conversations reflect the individuals involved and do not necessarily reflect the stance of Audacity as a group.